Hi, everyone. This is Paul Casey, the Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame educational video series. Today, we are talking to a legendary, iconic family. Their name is synonymous with greatness in the martial arts, very strong ties to Hawaii, to the Kenpo systems. And I am very honored to introduce a gentleman and his father, both being inducted this year, the 2024 Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame award ceremony in Las Vegas, the home of champions. And with me today is great grandmaster Rob Castro. Hello, Rob. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Paul?
I'm excellent. Talking to you, I got to tell you, sir, real honor. You're one of my favorite. Your family is one of my favorites. I've always looked with, great interest in the Castro family. There is a great example, and I've used that word 3 times, so it must mean something, that this iconic family has humility, has respect, and most importantly, they have ohana. And for those of you that don't know what that is, look it up. You might be surprised to find out what that means. So, Rob, we're going to ask you a few questions. You are now the great grandmaster of Ralph Castro's Shaolin Kenpo. Tell us a little bit about your family, where you guys started, how you got into this, and how you followed suit.
Okay. My father started training with Professor Chow in Hawaii. And then from there, he had moved to San Francisco. I came to the West Coast, and he was teaching basically out of his home, like most martial artists who start in the beginning. And it got to a point where, and we were up on the second floor, where practicing their martial arts, their Kenpo. They were running out of room to a point where one of my father's students almost ended up flying out the second floor window. And that's when my mom came to a point and said, Ralph, that's it. You're opening up a school. We are no longer dealing with this here in the house. So my father opened up his school in San Francisco in 1958. And I started training, just like all my siblings, at a very young age. I started around 5 years old, and have been involved in the martial arts through the training, through the teaching, seminars, and so on, all these years. It's something, that we eat, slept, drank. I mean, it was our family with the 7 kids. That's all we did. Because my father running the school, we get up in the morning, go to school. There were no after school activities other than going to the martial arts school, to my dad's school, and teaching, helping, assisting in running the business. So it was a full-time thing that we did. So that's where I started my training, and my father's always been, and the only one, as my instructor in Shaolin Kenpo, or in the martial arts.
I have a question for you. When your father came from Hawaii and he was training with Professor Chow, and for those of you, we're talking about William Chow. What was the style of martial arts that Professor Chow passed on to your father? And then your father, I'm guessing, refined that and took it in the direction where it's currently at now.
Yes. What my father learned from Professor Chow, he practiced and brought it to California, his techniques, and then created his own style, his own system, which later on became Shaolin Kenpo. And the name came from Professor Chow when he came to visit our family one year, and got a chance to witness us demonstrating, as well as my father. And he had decided, or he had suggested to my father, that because of what my father was doing, was in a sense still of the Kenpo system, but there was a slight variation of it, and more towards the Shaolin part of martial arts. So instead of calling it Kenpo Karate, he suggested that we call it Shaolin Kenpo. And that's when my father eventually turned it over, changed the name from Kenpo Karate to Shaolin Kenpo. I would say, I mean, all martial arts, including the Kenpo systems, we all basically have the same strikes, same type of strikes, and so on and so forth. Um, I think it was more of the idea of the flowing, the speed of what was being emphasized on the movements, because that's basically what my father was really trying to show: the speed, the power, the accuracy, and the constant flow of the strikes, multiple times to the vital spots. You know, you're not striking just once or twice, but two, three, four, five strikes continuously flowing into your attacker.
Some of the people your father trained with when he was in Hawaii, could you tell us some of those individuals?
Well, he didn't train with Ed Parker, but when my father did start training with Professor Chow, actually, he did not know that Mr. Parker was a student of Professor Chow. And the way my dad found out is when he had gone to Professor Chow's school, he saw a picture on the wall and was just scanning through it. And lo and behold, he sees his buddy from the Coast Guard. They were very good friends. And Mr. Parker never said anything about him being involved in martial arts, but there was his picture up on the wall as a student of Professor Chow. So my dad later on obviously confronted Mr. Parker about it, and they continued obviously being very good, close friends. Their family and our family became very close as well because Mr. Parker's children we were pretty much all within the same age. Spent a lot of time together, especially when it came to the internationals coming down from Northern California to Southern California to compete at the internationals, as well as afterwards. One of the biggest treats was we were all go maybe to Disneyland as two families attending stuff like that. And then when they were up in Northern California for the California Karate Championships, which my father hosted, again, our families would constantly keep in contact together, and it was very close knit family gatherings that we had. It was awesome. I enjoyed it very much.
So your father worked when he was in Hawaii, that he must have worked out or trained a bit with Sergio Adriano Imparato.
Well, Mr. Sivo Imparato was also, yes, one of the students back then. My father's training, as far as the certain individuals that were there, he never talked about certain other individuals in the martial arts world at the time that did train with him. My father's pretty much what I understood from him. It came to a point where my father was training with Professor Chow. If he could, if there were 8 days a week, he would be there. To a point where my mom was not too happy about it.
Yeah, that has a tendency to put a little stress on the family. Yes, okay.
It does, but that's where my dad's training consisted of. It was something that he got involved in. His background actually was from his father. My grandfather was a boxer in Hawaii. So my father learned how to box. So he obviously had some idea of, how to strike and this and that. And so the martial arts, especially with Professor Chow, came very easy to him to pick up. And Professor Chow saw that his advancement in the art would go quite far. And then, like I said, once my dad came to the States, California, he developed his own system, the Shaolin Kenpo. And a lot of my dad's uh, as far as him creating a lot of his techniques and so on. He said he would receive that information in his dreams. There was an individual, older gentleman, uh, his teacher in his dreams that he was going through techniques with and instructing him that way. So then my father would write this information down, go over it himself, and that's how he learned, or that's how he created his system of the Shaolin Kenpo.
So he would use the anatomical structure of positioning through boxing and then incorporate what he learned from Professor Chow and put it together, and then inspiration, which was divine inspiration, it has to be.
Yes.
That's where it came from. In his relationship, you mentioned Mr. Parker. I am an Ed Parker black belt out of Pasadena. That was where I grew up. Where exactly was the schools or the original school for the Shaolin Kenpo?
It's originally the first school was in San Francisco on Valencia Street. And then we moved probably about another mile or half a mile down the road uh, to another location, which actually became the headquarters and where more people knew of as the established headquarters of Ralph Castro's. And at that time, Ralph Castro's Kenpo Karate Studios. And then eventually, through the years, my dad branched out and had 3 or 4 other schools throughout, about 2 or 3 still in San Francisco area. And then he branched out into the peninsula of the San Francisco Bay Area. So it came to, at one point, I believe we were running 4 or 5 schools at one time. So not only where my father was dealing with all the schools, but the family eventually as well was assisting and instructing and also handling classes at the various locations throughout the Bay Area.
Where is the main school at now? Where is the main school at now?
We don't have a main location because years ago, before my father had retired, the original before he retired, the school was centrally located in Daly City, California. The school still exists and has been passed down or has been taken over by a couple of my father's black belts who now occupy the building and teach Shaolin Kenpo as well out of there.
So you were under your father. You learned from your father since you were 5 years old. What are the best or the greatest lesson you learned from your father?
Wow. Let's see. My father was a very, very, very loving individual. Um, and you can hear that from anybody that's ever met him. He was always welcomed and in open arms to anyone who came to him, whether they were someone off the street or other martial artists. He had a very loving, great heart. And I think through the years, being able to see all the people that he's touched and what he had shown them and introduced into their life, he's passed that on to them. I feel the same way, or try to feel that in the same way or manner of being open-minded, accepting everyone who they are, and just loving, caring person.
Do you remember any moments that you had on the mat that just stood out to you?
I do know. I mean, and again, this is, I would say, probably probably 15 years ago through training. I mean, obviously, my dad was getting up in age, and we were doing. He was doing a demonstration, and a lot of times, obviously, I was pretty much right there, his shadow, um, and I was his attacker, going through some moves and stuff like that. And it was a simple technique that he was going through, and even during the regular workout in the classes. And I would think, okay, my father, yes, he's getting up in age. So I mean, I didn't doubt his ability or anything like that. Um, but there were a few times when I did um, attack him with a certain move, and he countered it, explaining what he was doing, and it really woke me up and shook me up, and and realized the power my father had still at that age. That I didn't doubt that he had it. It's just I needed to experience that again
Right.
and keep it fresh in my mind that, hey, this guy can still take care of himself
Oh yeah.
at any age. Uh, yeah, I felt it, and it really, really humbled me very much at that time. And until today, I still think about that time that we've gone through, multiple demonstrations, and going back to look at it and just seeing how my father was moving through those techniques or in the workout uh, just blows me away.
I think the people that they're going to watch this will understand why the Castro family is so important to our martial arts. What is your vision? We got one or two more questions. What is your vision, Rob, for the Shaolin Kenpo organization and for you?
Okay. Well, my dad, um, wanted to at one point, um, there was a point when, attending tournaments, uh, doing demonstrations, going through our forms, uh, he wanted to basically keep it in a close knit group. But then he realized in order for his art to grow and to continue once he's gone, he has to get it out there. So one of my father's dreams was to get his art of Shaolin Kenpo. It is heavy, very heavy in the West Coast because obviously that's where he started. His schools were there. So he would wanted it to branch out across the United States, across the world, so that Shaolin Kenpo is out there and known. And I have gotten the opportunity in the last few years to be able to go out to certain areas where Shaolin Kenpo is not there present, such as the Boston area, such as Utah, and down in the Texas area. But, and people getting a chance to see it, obviously, with the internet and everything like that, you can see the certain moves that people are doing. But when they actually get to experience it through the seminars and see an individual who has been training in Shaolin Kenpo demonstrated, it does make a difference. So that's what my father wanted to do, was get his art out there to as many people as he possibly could, spread it throughout the United States and worldwide. And that's what I am working on. My family is working on, and getting my dad's dream out there, Shaolin Kenpo, to the world.
Let's talk about your organization. What is the website for Ralph Castro Shaolin
My
Kenpo?
International Shaolin Kenpo Association. And but it's going through right now a facelift. A lot of things are going on to update it, get it up and running, so that people can go to it, see what's happening with the association, see what's happening, or see what schools are there, as well as all the black belts who are in the family tree of the Shaolin Kenpo system. And if there's any information that they need, they'll be able to pull that up if they want to schedule a seminar, or again, if they can see if there's any seminars or anything that's going on within the association or within the family that's going on, they'll be able to pull that up and look at it and see it.
Okay, because forgive me, I got to wear my glasses for reading. Sorry, folks, that's not happens when you get old like me. Anyway, it is the International Shaolin Kenpo .com, internationalshaolinkempo.com. Please reach out to great Grandmaster Rob Castro, his organization. There will be lots of great information on where he's at, when he's available, if you need him for a seminar. And more importantly, let's embrace this family as they've embraced us. The Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame is a celebration of greatness. It is the greatest Kenpoists. It's the gold standard. They're chosen by their peers. There's not you don't pay to get into this. You earn this through hard work, respect, loyalty, and due diligence. And I got to tell you, great Grandmaster Rob Castro, it has truly been an honor to speak to you. I look forward to seeing you in so many wonderful things. I look forward to your doing your tournaments again, doing your seminars. Do you have any final words for us before we end this session?
I'd just like to thank you, Paul, and for this opportunity to be able to get the message out there, or get my dad's dream out there. This is one way of obviously getting it out there. And it's something new to me. Being involved in the martial arts all my life, and people are telling me, "Do you know who you are?" It's just coming into reality for me, because again, it's been always an everyday thing for me. Nothing new. But again, people are saying, "Do you know who you are?" Again, you are, from way back then, and they're going to be looking at us and seeing what we're doing. But I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank for the nomination for my father and myself to this Hall of Fame. It's an honor. It is a true honor for my family and for the martial arts world, as well as our Shaolin Kenpo family.
You're more than welcome. I know your father is smiling down on you right now. And I know that Mr. Parker, Ed Parker himself, is smiling, because this year, besides your family, this is a father-son induction this year, which is now, that is the fourth. But the fifth one is from 10 years ago. Mr. Parker was inducted. This year, his son, Edmund, or Ed Parker II, is going in. So you're going to be in great company. The Parkers and the Castros are together again at the Kenpo Karate. What? Hey, how can you beat that? That's royalty, folks. For those of you who don't know that, you better learn that quick. There are some amazing individuals, and I'm truly honored to have you here. Great Grandmaster Rob Castro, with all full respect to you and your family. Thank you so much for being here. This is Paul Casey, the Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame, thanking you for watching this. We hope you can visit us again. Please visit the Castro family's website. And with no further ado, sir, full salute.
Shaolin Kenpo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.